All right, what's going on, guys? I am Kadarius Washington, and y'all are checking out the Sports Rundown. And all I gotta say is this: Rico Dowdle. Rico freaking Dowdle. What a win for my Carolina Panthers yesterday. Humiliating the Dallas Cowboys 30-27, which puts our boys in Carolina Blue at 500 for the first time in the Bryce Young, Dave Canales era, and the first time since 2021. How about those Carolina Panthers? 2 in a row? I think that's called a winning streak. And speaking of 2 in a row, we might as well call it 2 in a Rico, because Rico Dowdle went off for the second straight game, gashing his former team in the Dallas Cowboys after he warned them earlier in the week he was going to do so. He told the Cowboys to buckle up, and they still didn't listen. 239 yards from scrimmage. Panthers franchise record previously held by Christian McCaffrey. 30 carries, 183 rushing yards, 6.1 yards per attempt. He also had 4 catches for 56 yards and a score. And we finally found Teteroa McMillan in the end zone, not once, but twice. And listen, folks, after a couple of weeks ago, I had that brown paper bag over my head, and I lit Bryce Young's behind up after a pathetic start to the season. Bryce Young went and lit it up on the field. 17 for 25, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception that actually wasn't his fault. And then Hunter Renfrow with a huge 4th down conversion on the last drive set up the Ryan Fitzgerald walk-off field goal to give us our 2nd win in a row, our 3rd win in the last 4 games, and somehow we stay undefeated at the bank. And it's crazy. Ever since I went on that whole rant with the paper bag over my head, we have not lost a game since. And now the Panthers are now the best rushing team in the NFL. And from the way things are going with Rico Dowdle, we might have us a little running back competition on our hands. And when the media met with Dave Canales and talked about whether or not Rico Dowdle was going to be the number 1 running back, when Chuba Hubbard came back, Canales said, we'll see. And I have nothing wrong, and I don't have anything against that. But folks, Rico freaking Dowdle is making me fall in love with this run game again. And the Panthers are now at 500. My goodness, what a heck of a win for my Carolina Panthers. But at the same time, folks, Dak Prescott, he had a great game. 25 for 34, 261 yards, and 3 touchdowns of his own. George Pickens had a career game, and I thought he was going to beat us in our defense because he was gashing our defense all game long, had 9 catches for 168 yards and a score. But ultimately, the Cowboys defense has been horrible all season long, and it ultimately bit them in the rear end in this game. I mean, our defense wasn't all that great in the game either, but that's not the point. This is the 5th straight game that the Cowboys defense gave up 30 or more points in. They've allowed the most total yards per game and yards allowed in the NFL. They're dead last in passing yards allowed, second to last in rushing yards allowed, and second to last in points allowed. This defense has been horrible. And it's because of this defense is why I think it's going to be a long year for the Cowboys. And it's unfortunate because Dak Prescott is having a great year, and the Cowboys statistically have one of the best passing offenses in football. And next week, this Cowboys team is going up against the Commanders, who play later on tonight. And the Carolina Panthers have a chance to go over 500 against the New York Jets, who are by far the worst team in football right now. Listen, folks, before the season, I gave you a top 6 list. A top 6 list of teams who I thought were going to stink this year. And the Jets were on my list. And I said that that list in particular wouldn't make sense if the Jets weren't on it. And so far, they have lived up to that billing. Yesterday, they played the Denver Broncos in London, and it was arguably one of the worst football games ever played, and the Jets were absolutely pathetic in that game. That offense was a train wreck. Only 11 points in the game, 3 field goals, and a safety because of a penalty in the end zone. But here's the fun stat of the game. -10 net passing yards. The New York Jets gave up 9 sacks and finished the game with -10 net passing yards. Folks, the New York Jets are an absolute comedy show. And don't even get me started on the end of that first half when they had that 4th and 1 in the last seconds of the first half, and the Jets did literally nothing. They did nothing. That clock management was absolutely horrible. I mean, they had a chance at maybe some points or something like that, but the Jets did absolutely nothing. On that 4th and 1, they let the clock run out and go to halftime, and then Garrett Wilson getting up in Aaron Glenn's face. And listen, I even heard the Jets getting booed off the field. I mean, they just can't escape getting booed off the field because of how bad they are. I mean, that last possession of the first half was so bad, even Kurt Warner in the booth was speechless. He didn't know what the heck was going on. He didn't even know what he was seeing. I mean, my goodness, that was absolute amateur hour by the New York Jets. And listen, folks, I love Aaron Glenn. I loved the Aaron Glenn hire. I loved it. But it's becoming very likely that Aaron Glenn could be a one and done. They could be a one and done. And really, folks, there's a very legitimate chance that Aaron Glenn might not make it to the end of the year. And look, folks, they got rid of Aaron Rodgers in the offseason and everything that touched Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. And now the Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers are in first place in the AFC North by 3 games. 3 games, albeit the Browns, Bengals, and Ravens all collectively stink this year. But the Jets couldn't even find a way to be good with Aaron Rodgers, and he's having a blast in Pittsburgh. And how about the former Steelers quarterback, Justin Fields? Folks, listen. Justin Fields is just not the guy for the Jets. He's just not the guy. And I think it's just about time for the Jets to see what they have in Tyrod Taylor. And I was about to say that it can't get any worse for the Jets, but then I remembered. It's the Jets we're talking about. Of course things can get worse, and they probably will. And I know this, next week in London, we got the Rams and the Jaguars because, of course, we can't have a London season without the Jaguars. And from how good those 2 teams are playing, it's probably going to look like a completely different sport in London compared to that hot garbage we had in that game yesterday. And one more NFL note here. I owe a sincere apology to the Indianapolis Colts. That was another team that I had on my list of teams who I thought were going to be terrible, and I said that they weren't going to win many games with Daniel Jones in that quarterback room. Folks, I was dead wrong about the Indianapolis Colts. They are by far one of the best offenses in football. Daniel Jones has been absolutely phenomenal. He loves this team. This team loves him. They are running away with the AFC South after I picked them to finish dead last before the season. They have really been one of the best stories in the NFL this year. But I will say this. When we get to November, that's when we'll know how legit this Colts team is. Because they have a very tough finish to the end of the year, but boy, oh boy, they look really good right now. They look good. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.